What is up, guys? It is Jed Wrestling here, back again with another video, and it is WrestleMania week. Saturday and Sunday will feature both night one and night two, respectively, of WrestleMania. A lot of people are like, meh, the bill hasn't been all that great. I could agree. But dude, it's WrestleMania. You have to be excited. I am certainly excited to watch both nights of WrestleMania. I'm very intrigued to see the results of certain matches and how they go down. We're going to get into my predictions right now, starting with night one. Getting into night one first. Now, this year they actually announced what matches are going to be taking place on night one and what matches are going to be taking place on night two. So that's the format that I'm going to be doing for this video. Now, night one, I think the opener is going to be Gunther defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Jey Uso. Jey Uso, of course, won the Royal Rumble, and then he challenged. He announced that he was going to be challenging Gunther at WrestleMania. Then the build was kind of slow for the first couple weeks. Then they did that segment with Jimmy Uso, which definitely turned up the heat a little bit. They had Gunther take out Jimmy Uso, leave him a bloody mess, and we haven't seen him since. That lit a fire in Jey Uso that I think is going to propel him to the World Heavyweight Championship. Jey Uso is going to win the World Championship. I think it's incredibly likely, and it is my prediction. And not everybody's gonna like it, of course, but I'm gonna be happy about it. I love Jey Uso. He might be one of my favorite wrestlers in WWE going right now, believe it or not. And Gunther definitely needs to drop that world title. He hasn't done all that much with it, and I feel like it's Jey Uso's time. So Jey Uso is going to be eating at WrestleMania. He is going to win the World Heavyweight title. Next up, we will be seeing Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. This is, of course, a storyline that started around the time where Chad Gable was having some trouble with luchadors. He was losing to people like Rey Mysterio and Penta. So then he decided to go on a sabbatical, go down to Mexico, and then pick up some advice from some people down there who maybe were familiar with Lucha Libre. He received this mask, and then the next week we saw the debut of El Grande Americano. He took out the LWO, and now we're going to be seeing this match at WrestleMania. I feel like this can only really end one way. Rey Mysterio unmasking El Grande Americano, and of course revealing him to be a returning Aleister Black before hitting a 619. I'm playing. It's going to be Rey Mysterio unmasking El Grande Americano, revealing him to be none other than Chad Gable, and then hitting a 619 for the victory. And that will be the end of the El Grande Americano storyline, which I have liked. I think it gives me like Elias Ezekiel vibes where they're never seen in the same room. I think it's really funny. But it's gonna be the end of it here. Rey Mysterio is going to defeat El Grande Americano slash Chad Gable. Next up, Jade Cargill versus Naomi. I think this has been a really good example of how to build an undercard rivalry at WrestleMania. There's been a very heated feud between these two ladies. Of course, Naomi was responsible for the attack on Jade Cargill that cost her the women's tag team titles, and then they both sort of split away from Bianca Belair a little bit, and now they're getting involved in their own feud. Jade Cargill needs a big win because she hasn't really had like any singles wins, like any big singles wins during her time in WWE. She's only really had tag team victories, at least on PLEs. So I think she needs to put away Naomi here. She needs that momentum. Jade Cargill, they're definitely going to start building the future of the women's division around her. And I think a great way to start with that would be a victory over Naomi. So Jade Cargill is going to pick up the win here. That is my prediction. The United States Championship will be on the line as Jacob Fatu challenges the United States Champion, LA Knight. This is LA Knight's second WrestleMania match, and it is Jacob Fatu's first. And he is someone, much like Jade Cargill, who's had some big matches, but he's only really been involved in tag team affairs. So this is going to be his debut on a big stage as a single star. This match came about when he beat Braun Strowman. It was sort of like a number one contender sort of match to face LA Knight at WrestleMania. And on SmackDown last week, Jacob actually laid out LA Knight after his main event match. So this has been a pretty heated rivalry here. Who I think is gonna win. LA Knight hasn't had the U.S. title for very long, and I think they cut his first reign a little bit short. I think his first reign could have lasted like maybe up to here. I think that would have been better than having him drop it, than have Shinsuke hold it for months only to LA Knight, only just only for LA Knight to get it back. But I think LA Knight is going to drop the title here. I think Jacob Fatu is going to pick up the win, and he's going to win his first singles championship in WWE. I really don't see LA Knight winning this match, unfortunately. Would I like to see him win? Yes. But do I think he's going to win? No. So Jacob Fatu is going to win the United States title. The World Tag Team Championships are on the line as Eric and Ivar of the War Raiders take on Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston of the New Day. So far, I have every championship on night one changing hands, but usually they like to go all out with WrestleMania. They like to have a lot of title changes, kind of like they did last year at Mania 40, and I think it's going to be no different here. I think the New Day are going to pick up the World Tag Team Championships ever since they turned on Big E, when they originally turned on Big E, it was like all everybody could talk about, and then they sort of lost their momentum a little bit. They lost to people like Rey Mysterio, so they definitely need to pick it back up. And what better way to do that than defeating the War Raiders at WrestleMania? The War Raiders have held the titles for a pretty long time. They've had a decent run. I've enjoyed the tag team title run. They've had some fun matches, but I definitely think it's time for them to drop it, and they will drop it. Yeah, they will drop the tag team titles to the New Day at WrestleMania. Yet another feud that failed to pick up steam in the first few weeks, but then got really hot. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. This is a feud much like Gunther versus Jey Uso that really needed one segment to heat up this WrestleMania match times 10. What happened was these two sort of like went off script, I guess, in a SmackDown promo, and it was reported that now these two have real life heat. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair both threw some really personal insults at each other, and I think this is a great way to capitalize on that. Have this feud heat up at WrestleMania. Tiffany Stratton, this is of course going to be her first ever WrestleMania match, and she's walking in as the world champion, which is pretty crazy. And Charlotte, of course, hasn't had a WrestleMania match since WrestleMania 39, when she fought Rhea Ripley and lost. And I also think that she will lose here. Tiffany Stratton is going to pick up the win and retain her women's championship. Mark my words. It wouldn't make any sense for Charlotte Flair to get this title again after just being gone for so long and having Tiffany Stratton just pick up all that momentum for nothing. So I think it's going to be Tiffy time at WrestleMania 41, and it will not be Charlotte time. Our main event of night one, WrestleMania Saturday, triple threat, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth freaking Rollins. This is a match I called originally during their little scuffle at the Royal Rumble when Punk eliminated both Reigns and Seth, and then Seth went ham on Reigns, hit him with two curb stomps. And this feud has an interesting layer to it. It is the involvement of Paul Heyman. I feel like Paul Heyman is kind of like the star of this rivalry, if you know what I'm saying. He has the most interesting story because he is accompanying his best friend CM Punk to the ring instead of his tribal chief Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns was sort of shoving him on Monday, saying he betrayed him. So I guess Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman's alliance is no more, which is pretty crazy. They've been together ever since like 2020, on and off. During the Brock Lesnar storyline, there was sort of some tension there, but they always came back together. Now Paul Heyman is aligned with CM Punk, it looks like. Could they pull a swerve and have Paul Heyman possibly aligned with Seth Rollins? This is something a lot of people have been fantasy booking, but I just don't think it makes sense. Like, why would Paul Heyman align with Seth Rollins? What does Seth Rollins have for Paul Heyman? Like, I don't see like how this would really play out and how they would justify it. I think this is just going to be purely Paul Heyman in CM Punk's corner for this main event match. Who will win? I feel like everybody in this match has a solid case for winning this match, if you know what I'm saying. but the person who I feel like needs it to build up a possible world title match soon, CM Punk. CM Punk, I think, is going to win this match by either pinning Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins. It would be a little more poetic if he pinned Roman Reigns, though, because he literally just like stole Roman Reigns' wise man. I think it would make a lot of sense for CM Punk to possibly pin Roman Reigns to win this match. But either way, no matter who he pins, I think Punk is winning this match, and WrestleMania Night 1 will close out with CM Punk on top with his best friend Paul Heyman in his corner. Into WrestleMania Night 2, WrestleMania Sunday. What I think will open this show is yet again another triple threat match. Io Sky defending her Women's World Championship against both Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. It's been a pretty interesting story here. We had Io Sky beating Rhea Ripley in a shock victory on Raw to win the Women's World Championship. And then Rhea Ripley was sort of mad after that. She attacked Bianca Belair and Io Sky. In the weeks following this, Io sort of got shoved to the side for this Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley tension. So she's been getting a little more aggressive, a little more angry recently, trying to cement her spot as the star of this match, if that makes sense. And then eventually Rhea Ripley was added to this match, so now it is going to be a triple threat. Obviously going to be amazing. Look who's in it. You got Rhea, you got Io, you got Bianca. Three of the best women's talents that WWE has going right now. It's going to be awesome. I think Io Sky is going to win this, though. She's going to retain her Women's World Championship. I don't see Rhea Ripley getting it back. Bianca Belair, I don't even think is on Raw, so I don't think it's. I'm pretty sure that she's like listed as a SmackDown wrestler, so I guess she would have to move over to Raw. But no matter what happens, I think Io Sky is going to pick up this win and retain her Women's World Title. Literally never realized how short this Damian Priest figure is. But next up, we have the Sin City Street Fight. Drew McIntyre taking on Damian Priest. This is, of course, Las Vegas, Sin City, so they want to have the Sin City Street Fight. And I believe also last year they had a Philadelphia Street Fight between Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits taking on the Final Testament. So I guess they like to have these city-themed street fights which I'm all for. This is going to be a fun match between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. They have good chemistry together. They've had some good matches in the past, some really good hard-hitting matches, especially at Clash of the Castle last year. That was an awesome match. But this rivalry sort of started after Drew McIntyre was eliminated by Damian Priest in both the Royal Rumble and the Elimination Chamber. He would attack him in the weeks following this, and until Damian Priest jumped him backstage, chokeslammed him off a car, and Drew McIntyre actually got glass in his eye. So it was questioned if he would be able to compete at WrestleMania, but it looks like the answer is going to be yes. His eye is fully healed, and I think he's going to beat Damian Priest here. Drew McIntyre hasn't had a big win. Like, when's the last time Drew McIntyre won a match on a PLE? I can't even tell you. I think it was like him versus Punk at SummerSlam, and that was months ago, dude. Drew McIntyre needs some momentum. He's definitely fallen off from from like January to like October. Drew McIntyre, that was like my favorite thing going in WWE. I used to say it all the time, but now I feel like he's kind of cooled down a little bit, and he needs to build himself back up. He needs to beat Damian Priest, so that's what I think is going to happen here at WrestleMania. Definitely one of the more intriguing matches on night two. We will have Braun Breaker defending his Intercontinental Championship in a fatal four-way match against the Judgment Day's Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, as well as Penta. I just don't have a figure of Penta. Mattel, please reveal a Penta figure at WWE World. I am begging you, making the chase so we can have the black and the blue gear. But regardless, Braun Breaker, he's been a solid Intercontinental Champion, I guess. He barely appears. I mean, he's been appearing a little more. It's like he used to barely appear, and now he's sort of been going at it more. He's been wrestling more. He's been appearing on Raw more. So I guess that's good. But I think his IC title reign has run its course, and he needs to drop it. But to who? I don't see them putting the Intercontinental title on Penta this early. I think he should be built up a little bit before they just slap a championship on him because like he's still pretty new. Would I be like insanely shocked if he won? No, I just don't think he's going to win this. What I will be insanely shocked is if Finn Balor wins. I don't see him winning this match. I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here. This might be a hot take. I think Dominic Mysterio is going to win this match. This is easily the probably the biggest hot take of the video, at least until John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. Stay tuned for that. Now, I think Dirty Dom is going to pick up the Intercontinental title. Could they have put the Intercontinental title on him sooner? Maybe, but dude, he's still getting the heat. No one gets booed like Dominic Mysterio does these days. So he definitely deserves the Intercontinental title, and I think he's gonna pin Finn Balor for this. I think this is gonna be like a big shock. He's gonna pin Finn Balor, and he's gonna win the Intercontinental title. Dirty Dom is going to pick up the win. AJ Styles attempts to shut up Logan Paul once and for all with their one-on-one match. Logan Paul, I think, is overrated on the microphone, dude. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Too many people talk about how good they think Logan Paul is on the mic, and I feel like all he says is, "I'm Logan Paul. I'm more rich than you. I'm more famous than you. This and that." I feel like that's all he really says. I don't know. His promos are just kind of boring to me. But I've liked the involvement of Karrion Kross in this storyline, his obsession with this other AJ Styles, so to speak, trying to get the more aggressive side of AJ Styles to come out so he can beat Logan Paul at WrestleMania. And AJ actually beat him, beat Karrion Kross, that is, on Raw last week. Do I think his winning ways will carry over here? No, I actually think that Logan Paul is going to win this match. He's going to put away AJ Styles probably through cheating, probably with some brass knuckles. Like maybe AJ goes for the phenomenal forearm, then gets caught with the brass knuckles, then Logan Paul hits a frog splash or something on AJ to pick up the win. That's just how I see it happening. But I definitely think that Logan Paul is going to win here. The Women's Tag Team Championships. Bailey teams up with Lyra Valkyria, who is, by the way, the Women's Intercontinental Champion, and neither of the mid-card titles for the women are being featured on WrestleMania. I think that's kind of disappointing because they've spent like the last 6 months building these titles up with the tournaments and everything. So I'm kind of disappointed that we will not be seeing either of the women's mid-card titles being on the line at WrestleMania, and Chelsea Green doesn't even have a match. But at least Lyra Valkyria has one. She's teaming with Bailey to go up against Liv and Raquel for the women's tag team titles. Bailey and Lyra are a team that I think is good, but I don't think that they will necessarily coexist in this match because they had sort of some heat for a little bit. Bailey was like originally refusing to shake Lyra Valkyria's hand on an edition of Raw, but then she went back and shook her hand, showed her respect. But I'm not sure if that will really carry over here. But even if they do coexist, I think Liv and Raquel are going to pick up the win. They're going to retain their women's tag team titles, carry them for a little bit longer. I don't really know who could beat them. I don't really see like any real credible teams right now. Maybe they could call someone up from NXT to maybe beat Liv and Raquel, but I don't think it's going to be Bailey and Lyra. Who does Randy Orton face at WrestleMania now that Kevin Owens is out? Is it Nick Aldis? Is it a returning Aleister Black? Is it a returning Rusev? Is it a returning Mojo Rawley? We won't know until probably tomorrow night on SmackDown. I think that's when they're going to announce it. I don't think it's going to be Aleister Black or Rusev because Randy Orton needs that big victory on a PLE. So, and if it was either of them, then Randy would have to lose, which I don't think makes sense, or they would have to lose, which I don't think makes sense either, because it would be their first night back. Nick Aldis, a match with Nick Aldis, I don't think it's likely. I think it's going to be Solo Sikoa. Um, and it's kind of disappointing, like especially if you were really excited for Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. I think this could be a bit of a downgrade for you, but you got to take into account that no one could have predicted that Kevin Owens was injured. So, and no one could have predicted that this match would not actually happen. So, is it thrown together? Yes, but I guess it's the best we could get. Randy versus Solo, and I think that's why they keep like these people, like these certain people off of WrestleMania. Like last year, they kept like Chad Gable and Ricochet, like those kind of, and Bronson Reed, like those people off of the main card of WrestleMania. I think for reasons like this, like if any match doesn't happen, they have like a pretty decent big name star to call upon. In this case, Solo Sikoa. I think Randy Orton is going to win no matter who it's up against, but I do think it's going to be Solo Sikoa. It's gonna be an emotional night, even if John Cena's a heel, because it is his last WrestleMania. Can't believe it. I've been a fan of John Cena ever since I was like 4 years old, straight up. So it's tough to see him go, but he's gonna be going up against Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. And John Cena is, of course, a heel now. He's aligned with The Rock, who I could only assume is going to be there in John Cena's corner. He actually hasn't really been like appearing or even been mentioned in the storyline, which is kind of weird. But this is obviously going to be a very cinema-based match. I don't think anybody's going to be saying like, "Oh, this was just a five-star t technical wrestling classic." No, this is based off of purely like story. Is it going to be a bad match? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. But this is based in like story and cinema and all that, and it's definitely going to capture that. Cody and Cena, it's going to keep me on the edge of my seat throughout, no doubt. Who do I think is going to win? Okay. I feel like this is a hot take either way because there are a lot of people who are on Team Cody. There are a lot of people who are on Team Cena, but Cody Rhodes has been champion for a year. Some people might think it's Cena's time. Cody needs to drop the title, but no, I think Cody Rhodes is going to win. Cody Rhodes is going to retain, and that is how WrestleMania Night 2 is going to close out. Same way as it did last year. Cody Rhodes on top. They could sow some seeds of dissension between John Cena and The Rock. That might be a little early, but I could like see them doing that to maybe build Cena up back as a babyface because him retiring as a heel, I'm sorry, but that would just make no sense. So no matter what happens, I think Cody Rhodes is going to pick up the victory here. He's going to retain the title, and Cena will have to wait to get number 17. Do I think he's going to get it this year? Absolutely. But it's not the time. The time is not now for the champ. Cody Rhodes is going to retain. That has been WrestleMania 41 predictions. I am obviously hyped for this show. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and also let me know some of your predictions, because as always, I had some hot takes here, so be sure to let me know your predictions down in the comments down below. I would also greatly appreciate it if you were to smash a like on this video and subscribe to Jed Wrestling, and also turn on notifications so you never miss a video. WrestleMania Night 1 review is going to be coming on Sunday, and then WrestleMania Night 2 review is going to be coming on Monday. So there's going to be some banger videos dropping soon. But yes, Jed Wrestling out.